Yes, what's up, people? Gonna hit you up on a little Christmas special today. And I'm gonna make this video nice and quick. I'm gonna make it as quick as possible. But it's a few things that I've been struggling with at the minute. Our lives just seem to be a little bit rocky. And you can put it down to a numerous amount of factors, but I'm gonna take full accountability for the turbulence that I've been feeling in my own life, because when I look back and reflect, I've been the one creating this turbulence. And why I feel like the ground's been a little bit shaky recently and I've been struggling to find stability is, I'm going to put it down to this one factor. It's simply overconsumption. So overconsumption of social media, overconsumption of food. I've been smoking a little bit more than I intended to. That's marijuana, not tobacco. And yeah, just overindulging in things that need to be limited and need to be controlled and navigated correctly. Like, yeah, I mean, cutting things out completely, I've found, can be deeply can restrictive when you still have the desire to act out the habit. So still enjoy food, still enjoy a little ceremonial bit of cannabis every now and again, but the overconsumption and the overindulging in these things is what's causing destruction and what's causing the pleasure pain seesaw to be constantly rocking. And what I mean by that is, you can live, so pain and pleasure are the exact same thing, okay? So they're basically, if you look at through the lower polarity, pain equals pleasure, pleasure equals pain, okay? So every time you feel a high state of pleasure, it normally gets followed with pain, which is low. Think about it, when you eat loads of food, yeah, you feel absolutely amazing when you eat the food, but when you eat a little bit too much and you stop eating, you're gonna feel like shit. Same when you have sex, your sex feels amazing during at the time, but then as soon as you bust a nut, you feel depleted and you feel low. And it's because you're getting these super highs, because every time you get into a super high, it has to be combative, it has to be combated by a low. And we need to remember this principle. When we're always seeking highs and we're always seeking pleasure in our life, we got to understand that that comes with pain. We cannot experience pleasure without experiencing pain. They are one in the same thing. So the more we can understand that, the more we can dance with this pleasure pain principle. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that. And I think it's a lot of it comes down to getting stuck in dopamine loops. We get stuck in these loops of seeking, which is the heightened state. We're seeking dopamine. We're always wanting pleasure through dopamine, pursuit of dopamine, whether that's from your phone, whether that's through watching porn, whether that's through drinking, taking drugs, whatever that looks like for you, whichever your outlet is. So what I've found in my life, what works for me when I feel like I'm getting in these loops, is firstly detox. So have time off the phone. I will literally have a full day off the phone, the silence, just being present with what I'm doing. And then secondly, is once you've had a detox of whatever that may be, it doesn't even need to be too long, and it doesn't need to be in a form of punishment, because if it's a form of punishment, it's going to lead to destruction. But just having time off the things that you're overindulging in, whatever that looks like for you, firstly. And then beginning to reincorporate these things with a little bit more control and having somewhat structure around these habits. So you're like, right, I can still do this thing for X amount of time, but after we do that, we cut it off, and maybe stack the habit with something productive. So sometimes I'm like, when I know I need to meditate and I can't be asked, I'm like, right, if I meditate for 30 minutes now, I can go on my phone for half an hour and just scroll mindlessly if I really want to, all right? But I want to get this meditation in first, or I want to do some breath work first. Like if I'm eating, sometimes when I love food, like I cannot deny I love food, and I do overeat on the occasion. So to prevent myself doing that, I'll make myself more conscious. I don't do this all the time, but once I recognise the pattern, this is what I'll start to incorporate. So start to doing rounds of breath work before I go in for a meal. So I'll just sit and be conscious, breathe, and then go and eat the food. I pray over the food as well, and I tend to eat at the same place every single day. So if I'm eating at the table, that is a designated area for food. When you start eating in your bedroom and eating a different place in the house, it's just retraining a bad habit, because you're like comfort eating around the house then, and you've not got like food time should be sacred. It should be designated time which is honoured, because we should be grateful for this, and we take these things for granted, and that's why we overconsume. And we've got to realise there's people out there who don't have fuck all. We're waking up, it's Christmas Day now, I'm blessed, I've got my family, a roof over my head, the heating's on. Do you know, I've got a nice warm bed that I've woke up in, I've got a Christmas dinner getting cooked for me. I'm fucking blessed. And there's people out there that they're waking up on the streets freezing cold today, and they're going to be spending Christmas alone, shivering, no food. So we've got to give gratitude every single day, and every single waking day, regardless of Christmas or not. We need to be giving, like, be grateful for these things that we have in our life, just these simple things. Because once we lose that gratitude and we stop being grateful, we then begin to overconsume and take these things for granted, and then that's what causes the destruction in our lives through greed and gluttony and overconsumption of anything for that matter. So yeah, when I recognise myself doing these things, falling into these traps, I'll pull myself away, I'll detox, and I'll realign myself. And I like to tap in. There's a question I like to ask myself sometimes: what would my higher self do in this situation right now? You never need to think about the past or the future. I mean, yeah, of course you want to be forward thinking, having goals planned and things set, but you want to be asking in the present moment, what would my higher self do right now? And you'll get the answer. If you ask that question, you will get the answer in that moment. And then the first thing that comes up, it's always going to be quiet. If your brain says something loud, that's not the right answer you want to be. So the calmest, most quietest voice, the subtle voice that you hear, that's the one you want to always be listening to. So every time you ask that question and you get a subtle answer, and it's like more of a feeling rather than an actual voice, then that's the voice you want to be listening to. That's your intuition and your higher self communicating with you. And you need to always be mindful of that. And another way you can use the breath is pulling yourself back into a conscious state, bring yourself back into the present, and tap in with that feeling again that your higher self is communicating with you through, and then use that feeling to guide you. Now, I could say when I'm doing certain things, if I'm eating or I do smoke a bit of weed, then I know internally if it's starting to become a negative pattern and become destructive, because them things on their own, my personal opinion, if not overconsumed, if acted out consciously, if used with intention, can be perfectly fine. I mean, we need food to survive, but specific foods, I'll give it, like sugar. Yeah, it's bad for you. It will fry your system. But on the occasion, if I go to the coffee shop and get a coffee and decide I want a carrot cake, is that fine? Of course. But then it's continuing that cycle of seeking that food for pleasure rather than just enjoying that moment and then continuing back to what you're doing. Another thing I'm going to add is your sleep and wake times are the most important parts of the day. If you do not ground your energy in the morning, the rest of your day is going to be chaotic. And like I was saying with this pleasure pain seesaw, I'm trying to think but it's a pleasure pain principle. So that's like if you're constantly if you wake up and you feel in pain. Normally we feel a little bit of discomfort when we wake up first thing in the morning. We just want to stay in bed, all right? So we need to naturally manufacture some pleasure in our lives and ground our energy back down to this earth. So I like to get out in nature first thing. If you've got nature to you, that's the perfect way to start your day every day. No phone, leave your phone at home, get out in nature, do some conscious breathing, go and sit by some water, put your feet on the grass and ground yourself. Because step one should be in every single day to ground ourselves into the day. We need silence. I think we should all have silence for at least the first hour of the day, just to ground your energy and ground your thoughts. This is when your brain's rewiring as well. Your brain's most elastic in the first thing in the morning and the last thing before bed. So a hot shower or going on a walk, breath work, meditation, doing some writing, do whatever you can to ground yourself into your day every single morning and make that a ritual. Protect that, because that's how you're going to be spending the rest of your life. How you spend your mornings is going to dictate how you feel across the day. How you feel across the day is what's going to shape your life. The second one is going to speak before bed. So don't put any pressure. One thing I will add, before you go to sleep, at least an hour before, clear out all silence. Again, you want silence an hour before and an hour waking up and an hour before bed as well. Have set sleep wake times. They don't need to be too rigid and structured. I don't wake up to an alarm anymore because it stimulates that fight or flight mode. But what I do is I leave my phone at the other side of the room an hour before bed. That goes off, electronics go off, and I'll either just stick a notepad next to me and sit in silence, put a sound frequency on, and maybe have a hot shower or a hot bath to ground my energy once again. I have a hearty meal like an hour before, put my phone away so I'm satiated, or sometimes make a nice warm pot of tea just to ground my energy down, calm myself, regulate my nervous system, allow myself to signal my body to down regulate, ready for sleep. Get your room temperature nice, get a candle lit, just do some rituals, some things that are going to trigger that switch to say, right, it's time to go to sleep now. Because if you're just scrolling on your phone like this and watching stuff on TV and fucking drinking Gatorade, I know Gatorade, that's American, isn't it? We don't drink Gatorade over here. I don't know, whatever you like to drink, fizzy pop bullshit. So whatever you're drinking, yeah, before bed, whatever you're munching on, Drop all that, save that hour before bed for your sacred time to down-regulate. And don't worry about the following day either. Don't think, oh shit, what do I need to do tomorrow? I need to do this, need to do this, I need to remember all this, because you're just starting your day stressed. The best thing to do is, yeah, clear your mind before you go to bed. So maybe write a to-do list or write things on a notepad next to your bed, and then say to yourself, right, higher self, I want you to guide me through this sleep state. Show me what I need to see in my dreams, erase what isn't relevant to my higher path. And then in the morning, I ask for your guidance and guide me what I need to do on my day. And then when you wake up, re-ask the question, right? Tap in with yourself. Give yourself that little moment. Go on. What I do is I brush my teeth. I make my bed first thing, like religiously. Go and brush my teeth, splash my face with cold water, go and sit on my bed, and I say, right, higher self, what would you like me to do today? And I get the question comes every single time because I know now which voice to listen to. So every single day I know what I need to do. And I trust that voice now. I trust that intuition that my higher self is guiding me, so I know that's going to be the right thing. I don't need to say, do I need to do this, do I need to do that? I just tap in and ask. And then I'm going to show you this one last final thing, which I think has been really, really productive for me. Right, there we go. Right, so I have a whiteboard here. So I have my daily habits here. Alright, so these are the ones I'm clocking at the minute. So training, breath work, nature, food discipline, no fap, content, and 11 p.m. bed. Alright, it says 11 a.m. But so I've had a bit of a rocky week this week. I've missed on a few areas, but once I've tracked this across the course of the week, I can then reevaluate this at the end of every week and say, right, okay, which areas have I done well on? Right, brilliant. I've smashed all my training this week. I've been no fap this week. Don't really need to put extra attention on them. Right, I've slacked on the bedtime, and the food hasn't been the best this week. Right, okay, we need to reevaluate and put more attention on that area. Set some weekly goals for you to complete. I've got the moon cycles there because that affects my energy. All right, so I'm always in tune with the moon cycles to keep tapped in with nature. New moons and full moons I track and record, so I know the cycles then, so I can move with the flow of nature. And then the sacred secretion as well. I'll have to speak about that in another video. So I've got when my sacred secretion is every single month as well. And then I've got monthly goals that I want to hit there. So I'm always locked in on this. But what I also do is can I get this back round? What I also do is, as well as like tracking these goals, I go on the board to check in every single day. But then besides that, the goals, I forget about them. I just go on a weekly basis. Right, what do I need to do for this week? Wake up, ask the question. Whichever one of them tasks aligns the most on that day, that's the one that I'll execute. I know those might be different if you've got a 9-to-5 job, but if you've got anything that you're working on, like to set out what you need to do for the week, some like needle moving tasks, and then just ask your higher self. I tap in with yourself. So right, what's going to be the most productive or the best thing that I can do today with the energy that I have and with where my mindset's at? So yeah, I think this is very, very important. I wanted to put this across because it's a loop that I've just recently pulled myself back out from, and I've been in this a few times and it may happen again, but I'm just mindful and I'm getting wiser and smarter from these loops every single time. So yeah, the pleasure pain. One last thing I'm going to add, a little secret hack. Neutralizing your energy will limit the amount of time you spend going in these pleasure pain seesaws. Okay, what neutralization is staying grounded and neutral, doing nothing to overstimulate your system. Okay, keeping your nervous system grounded and regulated. So this is why it's important getting out in nature and waking up fresh-headed and present in the moment. So breath work, keeping the nervous system, like you want to be neutral like this. If you're neutral, you're going to avoid this highs and lows. You're not going to be stuck in this up and downs. When you neutralize and you take the middle path, yeah, you don't feel like super motivated or pumped up and amped. Yeah, you feel a little bit flat on the occasion and it's a little bit silent and dull on the occasion, but it's peaceful, it's silent. You don't feel mad pressure to pursue or do anything because your energy is neutralized. And because you're neutralized now, you don't get stuck in this pendulum swinging from highs to lows to highs to lows, getting stuck in this constant cycle of dopamine loops. Because you're neutralized, you don't need to seek anything. So limit things like are going to stimulate you, like your phone, like caffeine, like drama, like toxic relationships. Cut all this out and try and sit in the silence as much as possible, because silence is where the answers are. So that's when you that's when you can tap into the infinite wisdom. You don't need to watch all these videos and scroll on social media all the time. You've got all that wisdom and you've got access to it. You just need to sit in the silence long enough and you will find the answers. So yeah, neutralize the energy, take care of the morning and sleep routines. Get some form of structure in terms of your to-do list, weekly, monthly. Got an idea of what you're actually doing in your direction in life, and set intentions for each day and tap in with your higher self and ask and keep regulating and grounding yourself, and you'll be thriving in this modern world. Right, Merry fucking Christmas, people. I love you all. Peace, love. I'll see you on the other side. All right, Earth ones.